A very good morning to my dear students. Hope that you are doing well and keeping safe at your homes. Anyway, today we are actually planning to move with the exercise portions under the second section in unit number 5. So now we can move with the exercise portions under section 2 in unit 5. So here we are actually going with adverbial clauses of manner. So this is actually the topic of discussion today. So all of you please take page number 112 and look at the grammatical item given there, adverbial clauses of manner. So what do you mean by adverbial clauses of manner? In the class where we learned the story of Andrew, we had discussed adverbial clauses of time and adverbial clauses of place. See, for example, when, while. So all these are examples of adverbial clauses of time, and where, wherever are examples of adverbial clauses of place. So in that class we had a detailed discussion about what is actually an adverb and what is actually an adverbial clause and what is actually an adverbial clause of time and place. So today in this class we are actually moving with adverbial clauses of manner. So in order to explain what is adverbial clauses of manner, you have to look at the following examples given on page number 112. So take those two examples. So let me to write those two examples on blackboard so that we can have a detailed discussion by taking those two examples. Okay. The police found him breathing heavily. So now what is actually the adverb used here? So what is actually the adverb used here? What do you mean by an adverb? So here heavily is actually the adverb used here. So adverb is actually something which qualifies a verb. So the police found him. Found in what manner? So found is actually the verb here. So how the police found him? That is actually the, if such a question, see for example, if how the police found him, if such a question is being asked to this sentence, we get the answer as heavily, breathing heavily. So that means this heavily is actually speaking something more about the verb, or it qualifies the verb. So an adverb is something which qualifies a verb. I hope that you understood it. Now we can go to the next example. So now let us come to the second example. The police found him breathing as if he were about to die. See for example, here in this first example, there is only one word to qualify the verb. That is actually the adverb used here. Here it is heavily. But when coming to the second example, here we have a clause as such to speak about the verb. That means we have a clause as such in order to qualify the action or the verb used here in this particular sentence. Then see for example, in the class where we had discussed about adverbial clauses of time and place, I had already mentioned that what is actually a clause. So see for example, if you take a clause, there should be a subject and verb in it. There should be a subject and verb in it. So see for example, take this one, take this example, take this portion, he were about to die. So here we have a subject. Here we have a verb. So this is actually an example of clause. And when you take this example or when you take this sentence as a whole, we can easily find that this instead, if you look at this example, if you look at the first example, here is only one word to speak or to qualify the verb. But when you come back to this one, here it is a whole clause in order to qualify the verb. So here we can address or we can consider this clause as adverbial clause, because like that of an adverb. So what is actually the function of adverb in a particular sentence? The function of adverb is actually to qualify a verb. So the same function is actually here done by this adverbial clause or this clause. So that is what this clause is known as adverbial clause, because this clause is actually saying something more about the verb, or this clause is actually qualifying the verb in the main clause. Okay, so if you take this sentence, we have one main clause. So this is actually the main clause, and this is actually the subordinate clause, and this subordinate clause is used here to qualify the verb in the main clause. So in that way, coming to the first sentence, here heavily the adverb is actually doing the function of here adverb is actually used here to qualify the verb. But when coming to this example, an entire clause is actually doing the function of the adverb here, and this clause can be addressed as adverbial clause because it actually does the work or it actually does the function of an adverb. So in that way it can be called as an adverbial clause. And now the next phrase or now the next word comes here, adverbial clauses of manner. See, look at the example. The police found him breathing as if he were about to die. How the police found him? The police found him in a way as if he were about to die. So undoubtedly we can say that it is all about the manner in which something is happened. So it is all about the manner in which something is happening. So here it is speaking all about the manner, in what way it actually happens, or in what way it actually happening. It is actually happening. Okay. So in that way we can say that this is an example of adverbial clauses of manner, because the police found him in what manner? As if he were about to die. So this clause as a whole is speaking about the manner in which the action was done. So in that way we can say that this is an adverbial clauses of manner, or this is an example of adverbial clauses of manner. So an adverbial clause which is used to speak about the manner in which a particular action is happened, it is known as, or it is called as adverbial clauses of manner. Okay, I hope that you understood it very well, because we had already a detailed discussion on the same topic on adverbial clauses of time and place. So it would be better to understand or to grasp the idea clear, because we had already a similar discussion on adverbial clauses of time and place a few classes before. Okay, so I think you understood it. So now we can just go to discuss the other examples. And take page number 112 and read adverbial clauses of manner are normally introduced by as and as if. See, for example, when we use adverbial clauses of time, we have so many words in order to introduce adverbial clauses of time, like when, while, what, something like that. And when we discussed adverbial clauses of place, we had also where and wherever. Likewise, when we are using adverbial clauses of manner, we have two words in order to introduce adverbial clauses of manner. They are as if and as. See, for example, if a main clause and a subordinate clause is connected with as if or as, we could clearly identify that the sentence is written in adverbial clauses of manner. Okay. Now, you please look at the next two examples given on the same page. Harsh did as his mother had asked. Harsh did. Harsh did is actually the main clause. Yeah, Harsh, the person did something. In what way? In a way as his mother had asked. So, he did something as per the demand of his mother. So, Harsh did something. In what way? In a way as his mother had asked. So, undoubtedly we can say that it is all about, the sentence is all about the manner in which a particular action was done. Here what is the action being done? Yeah, he did something as his mother had asked. Okay, so the main action happened in a way as if the subordinate action was done. Then look at the next example. He looks as if or as though he is distracted. Okay, so we can use three words, as or as if or as though. These three phrases could be used in order to speak about adverbial clauses of manner. As if and as though. Okay, so look at the example. He looks as if or he looks as though he is distracted. So listen, he looks. In what way he looks? Yeah, his looks were as if like he was distracted. Okay, so there also it is speaking about the manner in which a particular action was done. So this is known as adverbial clauses of manner. I hope that you understood it. Anyway, we can do all those exercises given on the same page. Here you will have 5 exercises. We can just, for the time being, we can just do 2 exercises. Look at the first one. Adul spends money. So the subordinate clause, the subordinate clauses are given in the below box. Okay. First one, Adul spends money. Look at the subordinate clauses given there in the below box. As though India will win, as I tell you, as they are, as if they are superior to us, as if it grows on trees. So which would be the suitable one? Yeah, Adul spends money as if it grows on trees. That means Adul spends money. Adul spends money is actually the main verb, or actually the main clause, not main verb, actually the main clause. And Adul spends money. So what is actually the action referred there? Spending money. So in what way Adul spends money? Adul spends money in what way? There it is asking about the manner in which that particular action happened. What is actually the action mentioned there? Spending money. So Adul spends money in what way? As if it grows on trees. Okay. So what about the next example? Please leave the books. So, please leave the books. Please leave the books in what way? There also it is speaking about the manner in which that particular action was done. Okay, so please leave the books as they are. So, there also it is speaking about the manner. So, similarly, in this way, we can also complete the remaining 3 on the same page. Now, we are actually moving to yet another topic known as non-defining relative clauses. Okay, so now please look at these examples. So, now we are actually dealing with non-defining relative clauses. What do you mean by non-defining relative clauses? Anyway, let us find what is actually non-defining relative clause. See, look at these 2 examples. The first one, the second one. My son Zalil, who lives in Cambridge, texts me every day. And the Three Musketeers, which is an exciting children's book, can be found in any library. So, these are actually the 2 examples given in your textbook. Now, please come back to these examples. My son Zalil, who lives in Cambridge, texts me every day. Okay. So, now look at this clause, who lives in Cambridge. So, this is actually a clause which is used to qualify what? Which is used here to qualify the subject. See, for example, or the noun. See, something which is used to qualify the noun is known as adjective. See, okay. So, see, for example, he is very brilliant. He is very hardworking. So, hardworking, brilliant can be used as examples of adjectives. So, likewise, this unified clause is used here to qualify the noun here, or it is used here to give some additional information about this noun. So, in that way, it can be taken as an example of adjectival clauses. Okay, that means this clause is actually used here to give more information about this noun. And look at the next example, the Three Musketeers. This is actually a name of a book. The Three Musketeers, which is an exciting children's book, can be found in any library. So, which is an exciting children's book is the adjectival clause used here. And this adjectival clause is used here to give some additional information about this noun. Okay. But at the same time, you have to remember that these adjectival clauses used here do not give any answer to a particular question. Who is the person? Sorry, which is the person or which is the thing here? See, who lives in Cambridge? This is actually the adjectival clause used here, and this adjectival clause is not answering a particular question that which person is this. It only says that he lives in Cambridge. And when coming to this example also, it does not say anything about which thing it is. Which thing it is. That means this adjectival clause doesn't say or doesn't answer the question that which thing is this, or this adjectival clause doesn't give answer to the question that which person is this, but instead they are actually giving some additional information about the nouns used here. So, this is known as non-defining relative clauses. They are not defining the relative clauses. Okay. So, I think that you understood the idea, or you got the idea. So, anyway, please listen. See, my son Zalil, who lives in Cambridge. Who lives in Cambridge is actually an additional information about the noun. But this adjectival clause doesn't say or doesn't answer the question which is the person. Instead, it says that he lives in Cambridge. That means it gives an additional information about this person. Then coming to the second example also, The Three Musketeers, which is an exciting children's book. Here also, this adjectival clause is actually giving some additional information. But this adjectival clause doesn't give answer to the question that which thing is this. So, in that way, clauses which are used to give only some additional information. At the same time, they are not giving any answer to which person or which thing. In such cases, those adjectival clauses are referred here as non-defining relative clauses. Here, it doesn't define which person is this. Here, it doesn't define which thing is this. So, in that way, these adjectival clauses can be taken as an example of non-defining relative clauses, because they are not at all defining the nouns in these sentences. So, they are known as non-defining relative clauses, and these non-defining relative clauses are usually introduced by words such as who, then which, then what are the other words? Yeah, who, which, whom, then whose plus now. So, these relative clauses are usually introduced by who, which and whom or whose plus now. So, these are the things you have to remember, and you have to note one more thing here, that here there are given two exceptional rules regarding this non-defining adjectival clauses. So, there are two rules. See, read the first one. The relative pronoun that introduces a non-defining adjectival clause should not be omitted, even when it is the object in the clause. Now, let us go for a detailed explanation of this rule regarding the first example. All of you, please look at the first example. This car I bought 20 years ago is still running very well. See, for example, here I bought 20 years ago is actually the non-defining adjectival clause here. That means it doesn't answer to the question which the thing is or which the person is. Here, which the thing is. So, in that way, it can easily be addressed as non-defining adjectival clauses. Here, it is non-defining adjectival clause. That means it gives an additional information about the person or the thing it is referred to. In that way, it should be treated as a separate entity. That is why we have to put a comma before the beginning of this adjectival clause and after the and at the ending of this adjectival clause. That means a non-defining adjectival clause should be separated from the rest of the sentence. Why? Yeah, because it doesn't explain or it doesn't define which the person or which the thing is. Instead, it gives only some additional information. That is why it should be separated by putting a comma. Now please come back to the application of the rule mentioned here. See, the relative pronoun that introduces a non-defining adjectival clause should not be omitted even when it is the object in the clause. Now listen, this car, don't think about this relative pronoun, it is not actually here in this particular sentence as it is given in your textbook. Look at the example given in your textbook. This car I bought 20 years ago is still running very well. Okay, now listen, this car I bought 20 years ago is still running very well. So here we can't find a relative pronoun. This is without a relative pronoun. That is what it is said here, that the relative pronoun that introduces a non-defining adjectival clause should not be omitted. See, for example, how many relative pronouns are there? Yeah, we have who, which, whom and whose plus noun. So among those relative pronouns, if a relative pronouns is to be used here, which will be the apt one or which will be the suitable one? Definitely which. And now think, which is actually standing for what? Which is actually standing for this object here. Okay, so that is what here it is said, that the relative pronoun that introduces a non-defining adjectival clause should not be omitted. That means if we put the relative pronoun which here, it is actually used here to introduce the non-defining adjectival clause. If a relative pronoun is used to introduce a non-defining adjectival clause, then the relative pronoun should not be omitted. It should be used before the non-defining adjectival clause, even when it is the object in the clause. Okay, see, actually look at the entire sentence. This car I bought 20 years ago is still running very well. There is only one object, and this car is not a subject here. This car is actually the object in the sentence. Okay, that is what here it is said, that even when it is the object in the clause. So here this which is actually standing for what? This which is actually standing for this car. That means this which is actually standing for the object in the clause. This which is standing for this car, that means which is standing indirectly for the object in the sentence. So the relative pronoun that introduces a non-defining adjectival clause should not be omitted even when it is the object in the clause. Okay, so the first thing you have to remember, that if a relative pronoun is used in a sentence to introduce the non-defining adjectival clause, then it should not be omitted, it should be used. And the other thing you have to remember here is that even though this relative pronoun is used here to speak about the object in the clause, it should not be omitted. That means it should be used. Did you get me? It should be used. So here this car is actually the object in this clause. So even though this which is actually used for the object in this clause, it should not be omitted, but instead it should be used. Okay, that is actually the first rule. Then now please come back to the second rule. On the other hand, relative pronouns which are objects of the verb in defining adjectival clause can be omitted. Look at this sentence. The bus I took was going to the school. How many objects are there here in this sentence? The bus is one object and school is another object. And the first object is actually the object of verb. That means the bus I took. The bus I took means what the speaker took here. When we ask such a question to this verb, that means I took, which is being taken, the bus. So in that way we can say that this object is actually the object of the verb. It actually speaks, or it actually gives us more information about the verb. What is the verb what is the verb took, and what is being taken? The bus. So in that way we can say that it is actually the object of the verb. It is actually the object of the verb. So that is what here it is said, that on the other hand, relative pronouns which are objects of the verbs in defining adjectival clauses can be omitted. That means if we put a relative clause here, if we put a relative pronoun here, what will be the suitable relative pronoun which can be used here? Definitely which. Okay, if we put such a relative pronoun here, this is actually standing for what? This relative pronoun is actually standing for the bus. So this relative pronoun is actually standing for the bus, and but the bus is actually the object of the verb, not the object in the clause. Here we have another object, the school, as the object in this clause, and this object is actually the object of the verb. So if we put actually a relative pronoun here, which it is actually standing for the bus, and the bus is actually the object of the verb, and in such cases relative pronouns which are object of the verbs in defining adjectival clause can be omitted. In such cases this relative pronoun can be omitted, because this relative pronoun is actually standing for what? Standing for the object of the verb, not the object in the clause, but it stands for object of the verb. Okay, object of the verb. In such cases this relative pronoun can be omitted or can be avoided. So this is actually thing you have to remember while using non-defining adjectival clause and defining adjectival clause. Okay, I think that you got at least an idea about it. Okay, I think this is enough for today. Anyway, thank you and have a nice day.